First, to introduce Doughnut Williams.
Yes, sir. How are you?
We're good. Good. Thank you for spending an afternoon with us here on Sport Talk.
It's my pleasure.
Do you need an introduction? I mean, my
yeah, I was going to say, do you want to go over the things he's done in his life?
First of all, he's a cop for 28 years. That takes that out of it. You know.
Then after I left Chattanooga Police Department, I went to Chattanooga State and stayed 17 years out there as the chief of police.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And played all sports. And
I played football at Howard and was the track trainer for Howard. And that's my career.
And you graduated from Howard?
1958.
1958?
Yeah.
And then?
Went on to college.
A real legend.
Right. And I was telling you about I worked wait tables and worked on the mountain, got to know everybody.
Bear Bryant.
That Bear Bryant store with Gordon Davenport, that's the best one, buddy. That's the best one.
Would he take a drink?
Let us pray.
And our other guest in here in the booth, this guy has, I looked it up. This is George Finley is his name. Beanpole, the nickname. The great nicknames are gone. We've already talked about that, Doctor. But, George, I looked it up. As far as I can tell, you were the first 7-footer in Tennessee high school history.
First one in Tennessee State also.
How
when
about
I went
that?
to college, I was at, like you said, during that time, a 7-footer was kind of rare. Anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
And you played at Howard School in class of 57, right?
Right.
Now, I got a little stats on him. They actually have
you got him.
1961 NBA draft, correct?
Right.
Number 35 pick of the Detroit Pistons. He was actually, you never signed with him, though. You played for the Cleveland Pipers of the ABL, right?
Right.
How about this one, Doctor? 2-time All-State at Howard. He was inducted in the Chattanooga Sports Hall of Fame in 2008. And your senior year at Tennessee State, which I believe was Tennessee A&I.
Right.
Was that correct back then? 14 points, 10 rebounds. Today they call that a double-double, my man.
Double-double.
Yes,
all right.
sir. Good to have you on Sport Talk.
Oh, we're glad to be here. Coming in from California, and I come home twice a year, every year. So this is a great thing for me to be here. And
we have talked about you, I guess, years and years. Can we ever get the poll on there? And Coach Jennings, Coach Jennings, we got him coming on tonight when he gets on here. He says, "Yeah, we're gonna do these shows. We're gonna bring in Poll. We're gonna bring in Fuqua. We're gonna bring in this guy. We're gonna bring." Well, it takes Doughnut to get him in here.
I tell you, and I can get Freequay. I got his number. We can get him and call in.
Can you do that?
Yeah, Richard Freequay.
Oh, that'd be
all
awesome.
right, man. That'd be great.
Coach Lerone Jennings on the phone with us, so we might as well get him in the mix here. Coach, good to have you back on Sport Talk. How you doing?
Hey, man, how y'all doing?
We're good. We're just sitting in here with two legends. I love it.
I know it, man. I tell you, it's good to be around and to talk in the presence of legends.
Lerone, we got to do this, though. Before you get into the legend of Beanpole Finley, what about Doughnut Williams? Does that scare you?
Oh, man. He's one of my heroes, I tell you, because when I was coming up back in the day, Doughnut was one of the police officers that
he straightened you out.
Straight.
Well,
yeah, had to tighten me up and
Coach,
keep me straight.
Let me stop you right there. Jennings trying to slip in the ball games over there at Howard. So we got tired of chasing them, right?
Right.
So we just opened the gate. Come on in here. We got to chase them. All this boy, be about 8 of them. Come on in.
If you can't beat them, join them, right?
No,
Just have
come on
them join
in.
you.
Yeah, stop chasing them.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, hang around here for a second, and we're going to talk with these guys. Now, Beanpole, tell us about just basketball back in the 50s. I mean, as a 7-footer, you had to have looked up to maybe a Wilt Chamberlain or somebody like that, or did you have enough access to even see Wilt Chamberlain play at all on TV back then, or did you know about him?
Well, Chamberlain was
yeah, that's about the same time.
Right. Chamberlain was Chamberlain was my idol in the way you look at it. I always say they put Jordan up, but the greatest basketball player in my knowledge is the Chamberlain's greatest basketball player ever lived.
Tell me the last time Jordan scored 100.
There you go.
Am I out of my league here?
Yeah, no, you on top of it.
Defense a little bit better in the 90s, but we won't argue that today.
We're going to fight now.
So we always have to argue, but that's just our old married couple type mentality that we got. But as a 7-footer, you had to be the one in the gym getting razzed every night. I mean, they were on you just because you're the tallest guy in warm-ups, right?
Right. And Coach James, my coach at Howard, when we used to go to games a lot, he would leave me on the bus because somebody said, well,
Chubby James.
Yeah, they don't have no 7 foot on. He said, go out there and get a Beanpole. So when I come through the door, I hadn't warmed up, and they started hollering, said, "Gee, where he come from?"
They're hiding him on the bus. Now, talk about just the way the game was played. Was it a different game than what you see now, or was it pretty much the same?
It's pretty much the same. You know, it's just like you said, the basketball is a big man game anyway, any way you look at it. You know, it's like our USA the Olympic team today, they don't have any hype. You got to have some big men on your team.
But knowing Chubby, Lerone, and Doughnut, the ball had to go through you.
The ball came to me, right? Yeah, it came to me, that's for sure.
Did they have the smaller lanes then?
The lanes was much smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an advantage for a 7-footer back in the day. You take one step and you was at the basket.
Yeah, you weren't going to get called for 3 seconds much. You could reach out from outside the lane
cross
and put it up there.
Cross the lane. You didn't get called. No, never been called for 3 seconds.
Now, we know there wasn't a three-point line, but could you even dunk or come close to dunking then? I mean, what was the ruling on that?
Well, dunking was rare for other ball players, but it wasn't for me because, you know, I didn't have to do that much. But tiptoe, I was
right.
My arm extension of what I could stand flat-footed and reach about 2 inches from touching the rim.
So you dunked it in high school a lot?
I dunked a lot in high school.
I know they kind of banned that in college, I guess,
for
in the 60s and 70s.
For one while they did.
Yeah. And I didn't know.
They didn't dunk during my tenure there in the early 70s. We couldn't dunk.
So that was a college rule, or did they ever have that banned in high school? I mean,
I don't think so.
They didn't ban it in high school.
But you didn't see it that much.
No,
then.
you didn't.
It just wasn't. They didn't have Sports Center and highlights and all that stuff, right?
Lerone, I don't remember. Doughnut, help me. I've watched Riverside and Howard a lot. I don't remember dunking going on much.
Well, we couldn't
fast break
there was
layoff.
no dunking when I played.
Yeah, but when Woodsmith was there, and then when Rich White, that group was there, every now and then they might get up there and put that ball in the rim, you know.
Yeah, they could dunk.
Morgan, them guys, yeah. Yeah.
Now, talk about your rivals, Pole. I'll call you Mr. Pole.
Oh, it's
All right.
You guys, who were the rivals? Who were the teams that you really got up to play, and you know, where were they from?
Well, I say one of the greatest high schools, and there's a lot of people doesn't give them the credit. Knoxville, Austin, one year had 4 ball players past 6, 7 on the starting team.
Wow.
And that was a kind of
Paul Hope, one of them.
And Gooseby, Taylor, you know, these 6'11", 6'10", 6'8",
ML Pearson.
6'7", right?
See, back then, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening in 57, 56, you didn't play the white schools in Chattanooga.
No,
you guys
didn't.
had that. What was the league, Doughnut?
It was Tennessee.
You had Austin
something.
in Knoxville. You had another
Pearl,
black school in Knoxville.
Pearl, Cameron, Rockwood, Hallheim, Rockwood.
Yeah.
We had played somebody in Johnson City, didn't we, Paul?
Right.
In Johnson City. Memphis, we had everybody in Memphis. We had St. Elizabeth, Booker T. Washington, Melrose. We had all those teams in Memphis.
You probably didn't have, but what, 20, 25 schools then, Lorraine?
At the most.
Yeah.
At the most.
So you guys had to drive to Memphis and Nashville? I mean, so this is a lot of road trips.
A lot of road trips, yeah.
Wow, that's just it boggles a person's mind, Lerone. You know, somebody that's my age, who's, you know, basically mid-40s. I'm not like a spring chicken, but it was so different back then. I mean, for what you guys had to endure and what you guys had to do as far as being accepted, traveling here and there and playing all these other teams. It wasn't just drive across the street and play Red Bank and drive up the road and play Cleveland, you know, like you see nowadays.
And the sad thing about it, Lerone and Doughnut, and I remember this growing up in the 50s, we didn't, as white people, we didn't get a chance to see the great Howard teams.
No, you didn't.
We didn't. And the Times and the Free Press, you might have got some coverage, but you didn't get
much.
a lot.
Not a whole lot of no.
So nobody really knew the legend of the Great Pole.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. There was a few crazy white guys would slip down and try to find a way to hang out every now and then, but they were taking a great risk.
Can you remember some of them? I mean, the best player of Pole's era would have been Eddie Test, would it not?
Eddie Test,
Out of Central?
At the Central, yeah.
And the Carter twins.
And I missed the Carter
City.
twins. Was it brothers or twins?
They're brothers.
I remember them guys, yeah. I remember them guys. They could fill it up, man.
City was good now.
Yeah, they could fill it up, yeah.
So so you had City. Was Riverside in existence then?
No, Riverside was not existent.
So Howard was basically the only black school?
We had Booker T. Washington.
Okay.
Booker T. Washington up there.
Now, where was that located?
Up there off of 58 up there.
Okay.
And those guys up there, man, you got to they would come and whoop us in basketball and football, then they quit school and come back the next year.
So keep the rules, in season, right?
The rules weren't necessarily as strict as they are nowadays, right? I guess.
Wow.
Was recruiting going on much? I mean, did they try to come down to Howard or get guys to go up to Booker T?
Well, a lot of times they would get put out of school at Howard and go to Booker T. You get put out of Booker T and come to Howard.
Okay. So they just moved around.
Some of them guys was 19, 20 years old, man.
And Lauren, I didn't know this. Chubby James coached football, basketball, and track.
Yes, sir. And believe in winning, too, buddy.
He was the coach.
He was the coach, man.
Now, you were telling us, Doughnut, that Mr. Pole here, he was a track star, too. He could throw the discus, javelin.
We went to went to Nashville, Tennessee State, when I told you about John P. Franklin was getting married and Trevor was his best man at his wedding. We went up there, and Pole, he did the disc and the shot push. Jefferson Street, you know what Jefferson Street over there in Nashville?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where
Legend.
the team practiced down in there. That's where the track meet was at. Pole throw that disc so far, it was all there almost on that gym over there.
Talk about nicknames.
But we came back as a state champion, though.
Talk about nicknames, the great Joe Gillum, Jefferson Street
right, Jefferson Joe. Yeah.
All right, quick break. You guys hang tight here. Coach, hang tight on the phone, and we will come right back and talk with these guys. Doughnut Williams, Beanpole Finley, Mr. George Finley with us. And, of course, we're talking Doc Quake, Cowboy Joe, talking old school sports with you.
He looks like he could play today.
Oh, I know. I think he could. We could put him on the foul shots, or what were they?
Yeah.
What were they called? Cheap shots, KZ cheap shots. We could play for the radio station. They were pitiful. You're right. Sport Talk, quick break coming right back. It is the Talk Monster 102.3. And a look at your right now traffic coming up with Sean Paul, WGOW. 4:34 at Sport Talk, WGOW, and this portion of the Talk Monster brought to you by our friends at Painter Ready. And as always, if you're ready, Painter Ready is ready to help you on your project, whether it be interior or exterior painting, wallpaper removal, popcorn removal, simple trim, installation, and drywall repairs. They can do it all. They're courteous and respectful and can transform the appearance of a building's interior in a day, days, however big your project, they can handle it. You spend a lot of time inside your home or business. Its interior appearance has a lot to do with whether it feels inviting and comfortable or dated and disorganized. A clean, professionally executed interior painting project can make all the difference in the world. That's why you call the professionals at Painter Ready. To experience the Painter Ready difference, call Brandon Lewis today at 648-4408, 648-4408, or visit them online at painterreadychat.com. Painter Ready Chat, 2 T's, painterreadychat.com.
Now, you guys mentioned that you didn't play the white schools. During when school was out, did you ever get a pickup game and maybe go try to find a game in the white neighborhoods? Or, like I said, I'm younger than Quake. I'm mid-30s, so I'm sure it was like you didn't do that, but was there any of that? Or
well, I think every now and then them guys would get together and play like up to YMC or something like that.
Yeah, and they'd come over to, I can tell you where they did it. Lerone might remember this, but it was probably before his time. They'd come over to Northside.
Northside, yeah.
And play some games over there, and they were really fun.
Yeah. Them center games, yeah. And the centers and stuff, yeah.
We got Doughnut Williams with us, Beanpole Finley, Coach Lerone Jennings on the phone with us, and we're just talking about the old school days. And, of course, Mr. Pole here was a second-round draft pick of the Detroit Pistons back in '61. Talk about you, but you moved to California. I believe you were coaching out there, right? Tell us what you've been doing since in California.
Well, I was a teacher. I retired about 4 years ago, and I worked in the school district there. In a lot of programs. I was nominated Teacher of the Year in California 3 years in a row. 35,000 teachers, and I was selected Teacher of the Year 3 times because of my commitment and program that I ran there.
That's fantastic.
So it was just, I had a lot of athletes involved in my program where I would get them to pick up some of these little kids that's on, a stray going other directions. So I always had professional athletes to adopt these kids.
Did you ever tell them the legend of the Beanpole?
Right.
Now, Todd, you must have been I could have imagined, though, if there was somebody that was problematic in class, you would have been an intimidating person to come visit them. So were you in that role?
I was in that role. When I first went to L.A., they was having a fight on the playground of the school that I went to be interviewed for, and I had stopped them from fighting, and they was asking me, "So where you come from?" I said, "I ain't never seen nobody that big, So from that day on, the principal told me, I said, "I don't care what they do downtown. I said, I want this man on this campus." And that's where I stayed at that one school for 35 years.
Amazing.
Wow. Now, how many athletes did you have come through?
I had a few kids. I had a kid. I mean, usually out there, you try to send kids out of the city. I sent a kid to Mississippi State, Hildred, and he played with the Globetrotters about 15 years.
Okay.
And sending kids out of the troubled areas. So I try to get them out of the area, out of their home life, and send them off to school where they wouldn't be able to come back home until they graduated.
Right. Now, were you Southern California?
Right.
So those neighborhoods that are infamous for being trouble areas?
Well, it was definitely a trouble area. One of the hardest, like South Central Los Angeles, one of the hardest areas in Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
Paul, I think they need to know that you work with the gangs out there.
Right.
And this is something that Chattanooga need to know about.
Well,
I worked with the gangs
I worked in a Sugar Ray Robinson Youth Foundation, a boxer. He had a program out there, and they had to get referrals from each school with these kids that was having problems. So I've dealt in that juvenile gang program for about 32 years.
So this is like Watts and
right in that area,
South
Watts,
Central,
Compton, South Central.
Yeah.
Compton.
Wow. I mean, as rough as
it gets. Don't need to cover it up. It was bad.
Yeah. 267-1023. Punch him in there like that so he'll stay, and then see what Daryl's got on his mind. He wants to talk about Howard and the Duncan rule back then. Daryl, welcome to Sport Talk and Talk Radio. How you doing?
That's fine. Go back a little bit there to 56, 57. I went to Kirkman High School, and we got on the city bus on 17th Street, and all the players that went to Howard that lived in the Fort Cheatham area, they got on the bus before we did, and then we would ride down to Main and Market, and all the Howard High School kids would go to Howard High, and we would tell them how bad we could beat them, and if they wanted to play, just come any time and we'd play them. But we didn't realize they had Beanpole. and so I'm glad they didn't take, they didn't meet our challenge. But the dunk rule was kind of strange. Mm-hmm. In 56, you could dunk during the game. But if you dunked warming up, it was a technical.
Right.
Which is the way it is nowadays, I believe.
It is, yeah.
Yep.
And what they would do, we had a guy that could barely dunk, so every time we warmed up, he would dunk and get a technical, and the coach would get mad at him. He said, "Well, that's the only chance I'm going to get to dunk."
I like that one.
That's all right.
I had some great players later on. I had the Jorgas team, had Pistol Pete and Hardaway and all those guys, and I think Doughnut was a big help to all the Howard athletes, and they really had some great ones. But I'd have given anything to have got to see Beanpole play back in those days, but I didn't really want to play against him.
He was a secret weapon, right?
Yeah. We got to throw you out here. We're talking to Daryl McDonald, one of the most prolific scorers in Chattanooga history. What'd you average your senior year, Daryl?
25.
Oh, man.
Pretty strong now.
That's no three-point line, kids.
Yeah, that was you get a lot of foul shots in those days too because they couldn't touch you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So a lot of that was foul shots because guys would try to touch you or push you or whatever. But there were some great high school players there in 56, 57. All around. David Vaughn, Eddie Tess were two of the great ones.
Did you go up against City? Who were the City guys there? Was that the Carter boys?
The Carters were there, and Jim Brown, who went on and played at East Tennessee State and was a great player for them, played center.
Did Lovell
they
play
had a
during
really good team that year.
Did Bobby Lovell play during then, or was he after those guys?
That was after that. Bobby was after that. But Beanpole and them, that would have been a heck of a show if we could. Back then, Howard and Riverside used to play in the auditorium.
That's right.
Full auditorium. And Beanpole played in the auditorium. We'd have got to see him play.
That's right.
But anyway, best of luck to you guys.
Yeah, all right, man.
Great
pleasure.
to hear about the great ones that a lot of people just didn't realize, how great they were.
Yes.
Thank you, Darryl.
We appreciate it.
All right, see you.
Coach Lerone, you're still with us.
I'm still here.
Give me your thoughts on a guy like Beanpole who came before you did. You were probably a little guy when he was doing his thing at Howard. But what guys like Beanpole and Doughnut and meant to you as mentors? Because I don't think the kids today, and not even people my age, understand there wasn't all these outlets to see sports. You just kind of read about it in the paper or maybe saw something about people. I mean, you didn't get to sit down and watch 5 games a week of Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, so these people in your neighborhood and your school that were 4 or 5 years above you really were kind of like your heroes, like we might look at a A-Rod or a Michael Jordan or a LeBron James today.
Yeah, well, it meant a lot to us because coming from the neighborhood, when you have legends like Beanpole, Doughnut, and all those older guys setting the example, being the hustling Tigers, and we little bitty guys can't wait to grow up and take on the responsibility of being in the spotlight. And they set a great image and reputation and legacy for younger guys like me to come along and want to be like them and to carry on the legacy to set a stage for the next generation. So they meant a lot to us, and they right in the neighborhood where we could see them not only on the courts or the field, but just speaking into our lives, just caring about us and helping us make the right kinds of decisions and do the right thing. And so I'm grateful to these kind of guys who I consider legends and heroes in our community.
Lerone and Doughnut, you're going to kick out of this. There's a magazine coming out in about 2 weeks. We'll disclose it a little bit later on, but it's going to have a great article on the winning streak of Howard football team. I can't remember the years, but it was phenomenal how many in a row they won.
Doughnut was probably on some of them.
Were you on that team?
Yeah, we did. I think it was 39 games.
It's something like that.
Yeah, and after I graduated, they kept it up for 2
It's
more years.
the longest ever
Right.
here.
Winning, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look for that on your newsstands locally
Or
pretty soon.
at your favorite school.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly
have
right. Beanpole, talk about your teammates. Who were some of those guys, and just kind of mention them.
Well, my teammates at Tennessee State, so we had at the time integration wasn't open in all the schools, so we was loaded at Tennessee State. I mean, just because my senior year, we wind up sending 7 ball players off of that team to the pros.
I noticed when I was doing the research on it, there was 2 guys, or at least 1 guy ahead of you in that draft, and I'm thinking 3 guys from Tennessee State in the first 35 picks.
Right.
I mean, that's insane how good your
I
team
played on the team. See, when I went to Tennessee State, they had just won a national championship, and all those dudes was like sophomores, so they came back. So I was on 2 championship teams up to Tennessee State. We were the first college that won 3 games and 3 repeated 3-on-3 repeated 3 championships at Tennessee State in the NAIA tournament.
Right.
Paul, tell them about Scud Barnett.
Well, they should know Barnett. Barnett was on that team.
Yeah.
Barnett and Barnhill. Barnett, both of those ball players.
Played with the Knicks?
They played. Barnett played with the Knicks, right?
Yeah.
Played with the Lakers also.
And Barnett now got his Ph.D., getting ready to work out in San Francisco somewhere.
Right,
Paul,
at the
tell them.
University of San Francisco.
Now, Truck Robinson was way after you, right?
Yeah, Chuck Robinson after
yeah.
me, right.
Truck Robinson.
Another good nickname.
Ooh, yeah.
Truck
Truck
Robinson,
Robinson.
right?
I love these nicknames.
Classic. Now, what about your Howard teammates? Who are some of those guys?
Well, those teams, those kids, if we'd have been exposed a little more, those kids would have gotten a scholarship to school. We have some good ball players
Yeah,
on
you
that
like
team.
Hazelreed. His parents own a dairy. You ever heard of Hazelreed Dairy?
Yeah.
Down in Georgia? Well, that's his name George Hazelreed. He live in Arizona now.
Uh-huh.
You got Willie Reeder supposed to be in tonight from Houston, Texas. And you got Alton Washington, who live in Detroit. We honored them, 6 years ago?
Right.
At Southside Reunion. We made them out unaware.
Is this what's going on? Is that why Beanpole's in, or what's
No, Beanpole come in to celebrate his 55-year class reunion.
All right.
Nice. How about that?
They start tomorrow. They start today. Yeah, all of them coming in today.
Fantastic. Quick break, and we'll come right back and wrap it up, Joe?
Yeah, I know we're talking old school here, but I have to ask Mr. D and Mr. P here. What do you guys think of the NBA today?
What I think of the NBA today is one thing I wish they could change is ball players staying in college a little longer, where they know how to deal with their financial problems, which they don't.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense for a kid to make $100 million in 5 years. After that, he don't have a penny.
Broke.
Yeah,
but and with the strength that some of these coaches have in college, I don't know why they can't change.
This don't make no sense for T.O. to be broke. Holyfield, they had a truck bagged up here some mansion down in Atlanta last week. This don't make no sense. Who's their financial advisor?
and why are they spending that kind of money?
Yeah.
I mean, do you need a 109-room house?
You don't need
right.
that.
No, somebody's rolling. Somebody, for the most case, somebody's rolling there taking advantage of somebody.
Right. Well, that's
right.
the problem.
That's probably the case. And like you said, it's being naive and not knowing. I mean, I can imagine it. Somebody handed me $50 million when I was 20. I'd have been in trouble.
See, I came out of high school. When Detroit drafted me, I went to Detroit. They offered me $11,000 because I had a bad knee, so they was kind of skeptical, holding up on I had a conditional type of contract, so I had to leave and go to the ABL because they gave me a no cut contract. So I'm gonna get paid for 2 years anyway, regardless if my knee go out on me. Mm-hmm. So that was the difference in me not going to the NBA was the contract that I had.
A lot of money back then.
It was a lot of money.
I was gonna say, was that middle of the road?
That was about middle of the road
where the league was making, I guess.
Right, about middle of the road. Wow. Most of the ball players. See, I meet every year with the legends of basketball, and we meet twice a year. NBA pro ball players or whatever pro. So we meet.
Really?
I got to go to meet in New Orleans this year on the 12th of August. But we meet twice a year, once before the All-Star game, and then once after that.
Who are some of those guys that you see?
I mean, all of them come to all the old. These are old. The new ones won't come. These are the legends. Dr. J, Oscar Robertson, all those ball players.
Wow.
Willis Reed. See, these are big, and it's amazing to sit in the crowd with those dudes, to talk to some of the old ball players. Because back in the day, we used to thought that the white kids were making more. They said when we finished playing, we had to get a job after the season because we didn't have enough money to cash for 5 months over. So everybody had to get jobs.
All right, Poe, tell this one across the glass.
Here we go. Here we go.
The Big O. Anybody ever better?
There's no God never played better than Big O.
The Big O.
The Big O.
No Kobe?
The triples.
No,
the triple doubles, I don't know if nobody ever retained the stuff that he done when he was out. I was drafted pretty high by Cincinnati. It was close that I didn't go to Cincinnati.
And then Paul Hope, the boy from Austin East, he went to
Cincinnati.
Yeah. And then he was out of Austin. Paul
Hope.
Yeah.
Won
His
a
dad
title.
was principal. Yeah.
Won a title.
Yeah.
Quick break, guys. We'll come right back. More of a walk down old school lane. I love this. It is Sport Talk WGOW.
He brings glory days in here every time. Play it again, Joe.
That's
Play
right.
it again.
Right now, traffic with Sean Paul on the way. It's the Talk Monster 102.3. 4:55, it is Sport Talk, WGOW. Doc Quick, Cowboy Joe with you. A walk down old school lane here with Mr. Pole, Beanpole Finley, also Doughnut Williams and Coach Larone hanging with us, and just kind of reliving the old days and some of the stories. And it's just, you were going to ask something at the break there.
Riverside, Larone had such a short existence in history, but Howard hasn't. I mean, my gosh, I don't know when the school was founded, but one day, Larone, we'll get him some time, and Doughnut, we'll have a Howard High reunion and the greatest athletes ever at Howard.
That'll be great.
What a wall that would be.
Oh, yeah.
What about the White brothers, Al and Charlie? What years would they be in there?
Oh, God, they would be.
That's Reggie White's father.
Yeah, natural father.
Charlie White over there in Nashville.
Yeah,
he would be in that 1960, 61.
And then Al Basil was behind him.
Yeah, he would be 62 and 63. All that group. They played baseball, softball.
Played them all.
Played all, yeah.
But Howard had so many champions, not football, basketball, like we're talking about track. I mean, there's all kinds of different sports that you guys just dominated, and, the athletes were there.
Doughnut, would you throw Larone in there if he hadn't got beat?
Larone had to be in there because I watched his career all the way. And this guy here, in 1972, we was at Vanderbilt University. Riverside beat us. We came in number 2. And I put both of them on them fire trucks. I was heartbroken because we wanted to win the state championship. But they got on that fire truck. I had 2 fire trucks over there.
Really?
Gene Roberts was the commissioner of fire and police.
Even though Lerone got beat by that little white guard at City High School.
He got beat, yeah. But he got on that fire truck, buddy. He was number 2.
Mr. Pole, tell us, did they have state champions? I mean, in high school back then? I know we talked about it kind of being 2 different leagues, and you guys had to travel a lot. But
well, we had region. I said they had one region of Middle Tennessee, West Tennessee, and East Tennessee. And like I said, at Powerhouse, we had maybe about 30 schools I said that we had to compete against.
Completely black schools.
Right.
Completely black schools. But we, like my senior, I still say my senior year in high school is probably no other school ever duplicated what we done. Because we won 3 state championships in track, football, and basketball in the same year.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. There's no doubt.
That ain't never been done.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And Coach Chubby James, we can't say his name
One
enough
of the best
because
coaches.
he was an innovator. He was a guy that was ahead of his time from everything that we understand.
Man, he used to use that one-on-one psychology. He would come in like he finna cry. We go out there and kill everybody.
So he was the great
motivator,
motivator in the locker room. I mean,
yeah, he
these
come
things.
in like he cried and say, that coach, the visiting coach, I went to college with him. He gonna laugh at me if y'all get out there and don't win. And next thing you know, we go out there and kill everybody.
Lerone, I'm going to ask Doughnut this, and I think I know the answer.
Uh-oh.
Do you agree with going back to the original name of Howard High School?
Yes, I
absolutely.
do.
I thought you would.
Yeah, I used to be the.
Just didn't seem the same, did it?
No, because I was the president of the Alumni Association when the kids walked from Howard to the Hamilton County Commission because we've been around since 1865. We didn't want to give up nothing. Because that school, we had so many great people come out of that school. We had Dr. Leroy Key was president of Morehouse College, and I can go on and on. Great people to come out of that institution, and we known across this country, about this city.
And you got to keep it. You got to keep that history.
Yeah.
That is well put. It's been such a pleasure, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you for coming back.
I enjoyed it so much.
I got one more to tell y'all about.
Please
y'all
do.
Gonna get a good laugh out of this. The last time Beanpole was here, he went and took a picture of Finley Stadium over there. People in California think they named it after him.
I gotta say this.
Yeah, that was kind of.
I was glad you said that because last night I was telling my wife about it. We were going to have you on,
Right.
you guys on, and my daughter overheard us and she said, "Is that who Finley Stadium's named for?" I said, "Why not?"
Oh, why not? Why not? All right.
All this money in California think they named it after him.
That's great. That is so good.
That was
Guys,
great.
thank you so much for your
Okay,
time.
it's our pleasure, man.
This is a highlight. This is the highlight of my life to come in here
Good.
today. It's great. This
Hey,
is great.
it's not going to be your last one.
No,
thank you.
anytime you get
Great.
back in Chattanooga, you got an open invitation right there in
Thank
that
you.
seat,
Thank you
sir.
so
And
much.
Paul,
Thank you.
if you can get Dr. J and them big boy, call these guys.
I am. When we go to the
Oh,
beat
yeah.
this year, I am.
Hey,
I definitely will.
You get Dr. J to call in here, and
You'd have
Oh.
fit
oh
with
my,
it.
I might pass out.
Lerone,
Thank
you're the
you,
best,
guys.
my friend. You are the best. Thank you.
Take care.
All right.
Always good to hear from you, Coach Lerone, and we'll take a little break. ABC News Time. We'll come right back. And
We can't do any better than that.
I know, it's awesome. Jump into the SEC Media Days. Also a little golf for you coming up at 6 with our First Tee Golf Hour and Mike Jenkins. Sport Talk, WGOW-FM, Sidey Daisy, Chattanooga. More coming your way.